Welcome to Short Yardage, a presentation of For Fantasy's Sake, brought to you by The Big Cheese. The guy without a hat, that's Michael Sicoli, coming to you live from what great state?
New York.
Yeah, okay. I mean, you do have less coronavirus cases than we do now, so.
Yeah, we already peaked back in March.
So coming from the Home Alone state, we got Mr. Michael Sicoli. And we've got in the middle, coming from the now defunct Clinton Lumber King. Well, I guess you're not defunct yet, but
yeah, not yet. We're still
sad day for baseball in Clinton, Iowa. That's definitely for sure. But hopefully we get things worked out on your end, and you know the people of Clinton, Iowa are going to have some minor league baseball of some sort.
Yeah, we're hoping so. We're working with the city. We're working with Major League Baseball because odds are it'll probably be a partner league. But it'll have to come. That decision will be in the weeks to come.
Well, we'll change things up a little bit than from what I told you guys and from what we normally do when I'm hosting For Fantasy's Sake, because it's playoff time, boys. Where fantasy playoffs start this week, and you know I know people are big excited to be in the playoffs, have some chances at winning some cold hard cash if you play for money. If not, you're going for the bragging rights. If you just play for entertainment purposes. I don't know how many leagues you play in, Andrew. I know Michael and I talk quite often, but how many leagues are you in?
I'm in four leagues.
And how many playoff bids you got?
I've got one, and it's a money league. And I have been on a 3-game losing streak because my only running back has been Dalvin Cook.
Okay.
3 weeks ago, I had to start Kalen Ballage. The week before that, I had to start Brian Hill. Oh. And then last week, I had to start Devontae Booker.
I knew that name was going to come.
So who are you going to be starting in the playoffs?
Oh, I'm going to be starting Dalvin Cook and Christian McCaffrey.
Well, hopefully.
And I've got DeAndre Swift, too. So
hopefully you'll be starting those other two guys.
McCaffrey picked up that quad injury, too.
The Panthers just need to not practice McCaffrey and just, hey, he's going to be healthy for the game. What a really good thing.
If CMC doesn't practice, they got 8 dudes on the COVID list. Who's really going to practice in Carolina? Anybody? I mean, you could just not practice, maybe call up a couple guys from the practice squad, and then you'll call yourself the Baltimore Ravens when the Steelers played them.
Can you call it a practice if it's just a video day?
Yeah, that's still a practice. Yeah. So, Michael, how many leagues are you in, and how many playoffs are you in?
Yeah, so I'm in 7. I have 3 of which are dynasties. One of them was a full tear-apart rebuild from before the season, so there was no playoff hopes there. Another one, my entire team got injured, plus I picked Carson Wentz and Drew Lock, so that season was over as soon as September. And then my other fell short on a couple of redrafts, but the one I'm in, the 2 playoffs I'm in for my league with my college friends, Brendan, who also writes Fantasy Sake. I got the number 1 seed there, so we don't start playoffs till next week because we only have 8 people. So there's a little bye week for me. I already clinched that. And my other league is a money league with my home here in Comac, Long Island. Dynasty, I got $200 prize at the end of the day. Really trying to get it. It's been an expensive semester, I'll tell you what. So, yeah, got the number 1 seed in that as well, but number 2 team is staring me down. Josh Jacobs is really letting me down as well right now. And Galladay.
I'm in, I want to say 5 leagues. I missed out on the playoff Scott Fishbowl. One of my strategies is even in 2 quarterback league is to punt quarterback, and then try to get a couple of the later round guys. And my later round guys were Locke and Cam Newton, so I kind of was uphill battle pretty early. My running backs were just I went with kind of the sleeper running backs, hoping somebody would hit with like Carrion and McKinnon and Phillip Lindsay, and nothing happened there. And then Kenny Galladay being out most of the season. And so I was kind of uphill battle all year. Then I joined a league late in the off season that was already existent. and I made the playoffs in that, but got bounced in the first round. The first round started last week. Then I'm in the playoffs in the work or our staff league, the For Fantasy Sake league, as the 3 seed. Then I had to win last week to make the playoffs in my big contract league. And then what I call my main league, we're in our 10th season, and I'm 6-time champion, 5-time defending, and I'm the 1 seed. So it'll be a nice little buy. Our number 1 viewer, Mr. Jordan Rangel, he's possibly facing me next week, so he'll be trying to unseat the man. So,
yeah, I just looked at the playoffs because I thought I had made the playoffs in our staff league, and I did. And I'm going up against Linda week 1.
yeah, good luck.
Well, as long as DeAndre Swift comes back, I've got a nice little 1-2 punch with him and Kamara.
Like I said on Sunday, we're all competing to lose to Bonnie in the championship. So
I don't know who was it this season. Doug, didn't he beat Bonnie?
yeah, but like
Doug's team is
98 to 95.
That still counts. It's still a win.
You're right. All right, so let's get to my power rankings. Like usual, we'll talk a little bit about the 10 teams, and we'll have a little bit of fun.
I think DJ was just still mad that Doug didn't get absolutely shit on by Bonnie, and everybody else did.
Accurate. Number 10, got the Rams. I just feel like they're kind of putting it together finally on offense. Cam Akers has been what they drafted him to be. Their defense, Ramsey's played phenomenally. He really eliminated Hopkins. I know Hopkins ended up getting that late 4-yard touchdown, but Ramsey's been locked down, and I think especially in the NFC to get through, you're going to have to limit number 1 receivers. You're going to have to beat, Devontae Adams or Michael Thomas if they actually, play New Orleans. So, he's done a good job on DK and Tyler Lockett when he's been on them. So, I think the Rams, solid offensively, solid defensively, they're really starting to hit a groove.
Yeah, I mean, it's that they have that undrafted cornerback, Darius. What's his name? Darius. I'm blanking right now, but he's been out. He's playing out of his mind. He has the highest fourth quarter coverage grade on PFF at 90. That's out of Tre'Davious White and everyone else in the league. To find that type of gem and then you add him to Jalen Ramsey, it makes up for losing Marcus Peters last season for sure.
Absolutely. Did you have something to add, Andrew?
No, I was going to say that I don't hate where you have the Rams at all. I think they're a little bit of an underrated pick there, and they're kind of flying under the radar of a lot of teams.
Number 9, I got the Dolphins. I was actually looking back. I think 3 weeks ago was the last time I was able to jump on here and do rankings, and I actually had them in my top 10, which I think was a lot earlier than everybody else did. And Myles Gaskin's back. Their defense has been playing awesome. I think they're
trying to fight people.
Yeah. I think especially if Xavier Howard, I don't think he'll end up getting suspended because they haven't announced it yet, but I think they've got a major uphill battle this week. But I think the speed of Devontae Parker and then getting Myles Gaskin and my boy Mick Gesicki against the Chiefs linebackers are gonna fare well for the Dolphins, but I don't really see them putting up the points to beat the Chiefs this week.
No. Yeah, it's just, you're starting off already with 2 well-coached teams, and that alone gets you in the top 10. It feels like the team that's just 1 year away. I don't see Tua or Ryan Fitzpatrick making any waves in the playoffs if the Miami even gets there, but they're playing well right now. They're definitely a top 10 team right now.
I think that they needed their defense to show up against the Chiefs in order to even have a prayer.
I feel like the game is either if their defense shows up, it could be like a 24-21 game. But if the Chiefs get 1 or 2 early stops and go up, 14, 17 points, it could be ugly and a long day for the Dolphins.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Number 8, I got the Colts. I think a lot similar to the Rams. They're getting the running game taken care of. Jonathan Taylor's looked good in the games he's played. He had a couple really good runs this last week, and again, their defense pretty sound. I think the one thing that will trip them up is who their quarterback is. I think that if they can avoid putting the ball in his hands late in games, that they'll be fine. But Philip Rivers just makes me really nervous, especially years of watching him play quarterback for the Chargers. Just he always seemed to have that big interception.
Yeah, but I think he's a good fantasy guy to have because he's going to throw a touchdown or two, but he's also going to throw some interceptions. And you know that the Chargers were going to let the game rest in Philip Rivers' hands. Whereas if you're the Colts, you have a lot of different players that you can rely on. And I think the most important takeaway from this is that fantasy owners of T.Y. Hilton can now breathe a sigh of relief that he is producing and they can insert him back into their starting lineups.
Yeah, I mean, looking back on it, I think it was easy to say, T.Y. Hilton's done, T.Y. Hilton's washed, we get sent him to the wire. And, I mean, there were good reasons for it. He's coming off a down year, he's a little bit older, and he just hasn't looked good. But this is also a team without a preseason. This is a new quarterback, still finding his weapons, who is constantly weapons are being injured left, right, and center as well. So it's not hard to believe that this late season resurgence with Hilton, with a good schedule coming up as well, in addition to the last couple of games, there's a reason to believe that it's going to continue. Michael Pittman's scary to me right now. Maybe as a PPR guy because he's still getting those targets, but he's not getting as downfield as he looked he would be a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it was kind of funny that I think it was Chris that pointed out or had named T.Y. Hilton as a guy who could have a pretty good playoff schedule, and Hilton, starts it off for the teams that needed him in week 13 and had a big week.
Yeah, you could definitely keep that going.
Number 7, the Seahawks. I know they had that trip of that game is so weird against the Giants, and it was a game where I think we all kind of marked down a Seattle win when they're playing at home, and just a weird game. Like you turn on the TV and they're down I don't know, I think it was 13-5, and all of a sudden you're like, when did the Mets travel to play the Mariners? Or the Yankees, whatever. And that's just not a football score, and Russ just seemed kind of way out of it all game.
Yeah, DJ, get it right. The Mets can't score on anybody.
Yeah, no, I know. That's why I had to shift to the Yankees. I'm like, the Yankees can put up 13. The Mets definitely can't.
And on paper, I think it's easy to just chalk up, Seattle's been underplaying. It must be the defense, which has looked bad. Wilson leads the league in turnover since week 7. This is not a great MVP year from Russell Wilson anymore. This is a good year. This is a good year by his standards. He's great, but he's making those plays that at the end of the day, he'll more than likely win you a game. He's more top 5 quarterback probably, but those MVP talks have just ceased. And I don't even think it's because of the great play of Aaron Rodgers or the great play of Patrick Mahomes or something. It's just Russell Wilson has kind of played himself out of this MVP award.
Well, as is Kyler Murray. I mean,
Kyler Murray too.
You're looking into legitimately a 2-man race, and then every 2 weeks or so, somebody will have a hot 2 weeks, like Josh Allen right now, and you're like, oh man, this guy should be in the MVP conversation. But I think legitimately, when it's all said and done, it's either Rodgers or Mahomes that's going to win that award.
It's going to be really close. I don't know.
That Russell Wilson kind of got caught up in the running back carousel Seattle had for a while, where they didn't know who they were starting. Was Chris Carson coming back, and was he going to start that week? Having to depend upon Carlos Hyde, whether he was going to even start a couple weeks. And I think that pressure might have gotten to him a little bit too much, whereas normally that sort of pressure doesn't. He's usually pretty calm, cool, and collected. But yeah, I think the real anomaly of that Seattle and Giants game is the Giants defense, because they kept themselves in that game against Cincinnati. And I know Cincinnati is a struggle fest on offense. without Joe Burrow. But just kind of watching the way the Giants played, I almost thought that they would give Seattle a run for their money, but I wasn't so sure about it because of Seattle's offense. And here we are looking back, and hindsight's 2020.
It's been said all week, but Joe Judge might just be the answer there in New York.
I think the crazy thing that I had read that somebody tweeted was like if Carson Wentz, which he has, but if Carson Wentz does the things that Russell Wilson does, we blame Carson Wentz. He's a terrible quarterback. Now Russell Wilson's out here doing it, and he just gets a pass because he's Russell Wilson.
Yeah. It's almost infuriating, but I also like Russ.
And here's my thing is, say Kyler Murray is doing the things that Russell Wilson's doing, like just imploding. Like he's the front runner, has, I think he had 15 touchdowns and 1 interception or something insane like that. And then he starts imploding. If Kyler Murray does that, we accuse Kyler Murray of reading his own headlines 100%. We're saying, oh, it's, he's too big for his shoe, or, his shoes are too big and stuff like that. And he's reading his own headlines. But because it's Russell Wilson, he automatically, it's like, oh, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, you give Russell Wilson the benefit of the doubt because he's proven he can go out there and win games. He can go in those playoff games, and he's kept them in games, and he's won them games. He's taken them to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm not going to doubt Russell Wilson's talent. It's more so.
No, I agree, but
his MVP call.
You can't say that you can't say the same thing about Carson Wentz.
Yeah, I think it's more so how vocal Russ supporters, at least from my experience, how vocal Russell Wilson supporters for MVP were in the first 5 weeks of the season. I could not deal with those people. Those people were loud. They're like, "Oh, Russ is finally cooking. He's finally getting the ball." They're awfully silent now, and I've been trying to find them, and it's getting difficult.
It's funny when you can keep receipts on Twitter. Like I'm having a battle. I have a battle 1 year battle officially with this guy on Twitter, and it's between Daniel Jones and Drew Lock, who I don't think either of them are NFL quarterbacks. And he said that. He did the Drew Lock, or Daniel Jones is greater than Drew Lock. And I asked him, I said, back it up. Like, that's all I want. Like I said, other than without using the words draft pedigree, what makes Daniel Jones better? And he couldn't back it up. And, like we said, Drew Lock gets probably 1 more year to make or break his career. And we'll see. You know what I mean? Like he looked at point, I know he threw 2 picks against the Chiefs, but he actually looked competent as a quarterback throughout much of that game.
Yeah, he hasn't made the steps that I wanted him to see. And losing Courtland Sutton, I've said all season, that's a trust security blanket, and losing that is devastating. And I feel like it's unfair to evaluate him. But that offensive line has played much better than I anticipated as well. I
mean, Garrett Bowles has been one of the best left tackles in football, and
just got paid.
Turnstile.
Yep.
Yeah.
The guy who led the league in most holding penalties last season.
Yep. Go back if you really want to watch a Garrett Bowles highlight tape. Go back and watch the game in Denver against the Chiefs where Mahomes got hurt, and I think the Chiefs sacked Joe Flacco 7 times in that game. And 3 of those sacks were when Garrett Bowles was holding the guy who sacked Joe Flacco. So not only was he holding the guy when he sacked Joe Flacco, he gave up the sack and got called for a penalty on that play. That's a Garrett Bowles highlight right there, bud.
Well, he didn't get caught. The penalty didn't count because they probably declined the penalty.
Right. Yeah, they took the sack, but. All right, number 6. Got the Cleveland Browns. There's words I thought I would never say. That game on Sunday was pretty impressive out of Baker being able to just kind of sling it around. He looked like that Baker Mayfield that said he woke up feeling dangerous. And I said for years their defense is pretty good. They just need to be able to put up some points, and they're doing that. And I wouldn't mind seeing them do it against. The Titans have good defense, but I just didn't you. Yeah, didn't you have some stat about how bad they were on the road or something like that?
The stat was about the Browns. So the Browns on the road allowed 300 yards passing heading into that game, and I mean they got lit up in the air as well on the road.
Right.
But at home they allowed like 203. It goes from third best at home to fourth worst on the road, or vice versa with those third and fourth. But
I will tell you the one thing on the Browns. This has nothing to do with them being my number 16, but you know how infuriating it is to watch a game in the fourth quarter as a Nick Chubb owner and Kareem Hunt's in on every play.
Thank you.
So Kareem Hunt is a touchdown vulture.
Yes.
Well, here's the thing. Nick Chubb is like fantasy awesome right now, except he's getting all of his points in the first 28 minutes of each half. He's getting his all of his points in the 28 minutes of the first half. So he doesn't play the last 2 minutes. Then he plays the third quarter, and then he just doesn't see snaps in the fourth. And I just don't understand.
I don't have an answer. I mean, Kareem Hunt's been stealing goal line carries for ever since he came on the team last year, and that's annoying in itself. But
it is
Kareem Hunt is the new LeGarrette Blount.
Oh, let's not do that to Kareem Hunt.
He 100% is.
Fine, whatever. I won't defend Kareem Hunt, but I'm such a Nick Chubb fan. I was wondering if the Browns somehow slipped out of this list, and then you put him at 6, and it's great to see another great team in the AFC North as a Steelers fan, probably for years to come with Kevin Stefanski. So it's always reassuring.
You know what's really fun about doing these rankings is I even did these like a half an hour ago, and it's still a surprise when the team comes up for me.
Well, when it's Cleveland, I get it. You know, being in the top 10 of anything outside of like the draft has been a luxury.
I can tell you who 1 and 2 are. I have no idea who 3, 4, and 5 are.
I can tell you 1 and 2 are as well.
Number 5.
Probably in that order.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everybody watching the show, everybody who's ever had a conversation with me can tell me who 1 and 2 are. But Bills, and you'll be interested. Hopefully, our new dynasty writer, Matt Seward, hopefully his first article is on Stephon Diggs, because I'm a little lower than him on Diggs as a dynasty wide receiver, but I think I have Diggs 15, but I really like the 14 dudes ahead of him. And it's awesome to watch Buffalo play because I think they're a lot like the Chiefs, but I'd like to see them run the ball more. And did Michael die?
I think he might have.
the Bills have played decent defense, but they haven't run the ball well at all this season outside of Josh Allen. So I think I don't think that they're the team that you really are afraid to see in the postseason, because I think you can make Josh Allen make mistakes, and until they have somebody to really take the ball out of his hands, I think that's something that they could struggle with when the playoffs come up. They have a big game this week too, and that's really going to come to fruition. That the Steelers are a kind of team that you're going to see in the postseason, because they have a really good defense, and teams seem to step up defensively in the postseason, and the Steelers are going to be a good onset of what you're going to see, out of the Colts, out of the Ravens, if they make the playoffs. So out of the Dolphins. I know the Steelers defense is better than all 3 of those, but it kind of gives you a preview of what you might see in January and February.
I think the Bills need to get Zach Moss going. Singletary, he's doing pretty well, but they need that second guy to step in to give them that change of pace that Cleveland has with Chubb and Blunt Jr. Even the Colts have it with Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines. They need that second punchback to be effective in order for that offense to be everything that it absolutely could be. And I think you are right, in saying that I think the Bills versus the Chiefs with clicking offenses that would be a game that would be awesome to see.
Yeah, the Bills. I mean, they also got Matt Milano back this week, which, by the way, who's his aunt taught me in Comac High School. Just like that, a little connection there. But Matt Milano's terrific.
Name drop.
What? That is the name. Matt Milano is not a no-name player, though. I'm pointing out, though, he is a great player who they just got back from injury, and he made a difference last week as well. So, this is a must-win game for both teams, honestly. The Bills can't afford to drop a game right now with Miami surging, and the Steelers can't drop another game against a good team this time. And the Steelers won't be going into the sleepwalking like they've been doing for the last 3 weeks. So I do think the Steelers come out on top. Josh Allen under pressure is something that I mean, he's done well this season to get away from that. But if the Steelers can keep him in the pocket, then it's all over, I think. But and to touch on Diggs for Dynasty, I'm bought in. Diggs is a talent that I don't like. Only reservations were with Josh Allen. And Josh Allen's shown enough, and more importantly, a willingness to hyper-target Diggs, that if Diggs is a ridiculous talent. I'm a sucker for route running. He's a top 3 route running at the minimum. And he's going to get the ball. I'm sold as a wide receiver 1 for the next 2 to 3 years. And beyond that, who knows? But just combination of talent. Josh Allen's shown me enough. And I'm one of the biggest Josh Allen doubters I know. Yeah.
I know, Andrew. They're hot right now, and they're clicking on all cylinders. They're running the ball well. They're throwing the ball well. The defense is a little sus, but the Packers are just – Rodgers is having one of his best seasons. And the fact that I always mess with the fans, my friends that are fans of the Packers, and like when they're like, "Oh, you watching the MVP?" I'm like, "Dude, Mahomes has half the interceptions that Aaron Rodgers does." And it's true because it's 4-2, but Rodgers is playing like a man possessed. Aaron Jones is on fire. Jamal Williams is being that nice little handcuff to have. I think the Packers might be, when it's all said and done, the best team in the NFC.
I'm not going to comment, and I'm going to step away real fast. I'll come back when we're at number 3.
Okay.
So the the difference with Aaron Rodgers this year is he's playing like a man possessed, but he's also he's having fun out there. Last year he was upset on every single play. This year he's just enjoying himself. He's flinging it around. He's making Marquez Valdes-Scantling a capable receiver sometimes when he can even help himself. But it's if Mahomes wasn't so great, Aaron Rodgers would be a shoo-in for the MVP right now.
Yeah. And
when Rodgers is looking great like this, where last year we had the questions like, he doesn't look exactly the same. The Packers can beat anybody. That run defense is abysmal, so they can lose like that if they can keep Rodgers off the field and they can keep pounding the rock, which teams probably could do. But I think we got to go back to that, that the feeling from 4 years ago, where if you're going against Aaron Rodgers, you can easily lose that game no matter how prepared you are, no matter how well you play.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just playing that well right now. And Devontae Adams is just that good as well.
Yeah, Adams made 2 plays on Sunday. I don't know if you watched any of the Packers game, but he made 2 plays on Sunday were just phenomenal. There was a pass over the middle that he snagged out of the air that I thought for sure was picked and possibly going the other way, and it would have been a pick 6, and it was just an incredible play. And then he had one of his touchdowns where he just manhandled the defender into the end zone. It was like AJ Brown light. Like, it was just kind of crazy.
And that he's the perfect example of if you believe in a player in Dynasty fantasy football, I don't care what's going on around him, you stick with him. Because it took first couple of years of Devontae Adams were the ugliest years of an elite receiver ever.
Yeah. I wish I
couldn't catch it all.
I wish I could find this tweet, or not this tweet. So Chris and I used to play in Dynasty together, and I at one point was trying to trade him, Devontae Adams, and Chris just absolutely trashed Adams any chance he got. Do you remember that, Chris?
No, I just didn't want to trade with you because you're a jerk to trade with, and you are relentless, and I don't want anything to do with trades with you.
This is the conversation. I said, I'm bored, start training. This was in the middle of June. And Doug said, I'll give you an egg for a ham sandwich. Chris said, dude, I thought we talked about not letting Deej win all these trades. Then Doug said, ham is greater than eggs. And Chris said, I'd take ham over Devontae Adams.
Yeah, I still stand by that. Ham's more versatile.
It's just you buy low on players you like that. I mean, if you like Devontae Adams coming out, you just bought him there. I sent a fourth in March and Andrew Luck post retirement, for Corey Davis back in March, and because I've been such a Corey Davis fan, and it literally highlights my season. It is the best part about 2020. I tweeted it out like 2 weeks ago, or maybe it was this Sunday. It just all goes into a blur. But Corey Davis performing it feels amazing. Out of a contract year too. So that's wherever he's going to go. If he stays, I don't know.
It's your option.
They denied it. They
turned it after they didn't do that.
Yeah. So I mean, there's always added motivation.
Here's me entering my foot in my mouth after I say I think the Packers could be the best team in the NFC. The New Orleans Saints at number 3. They have, granted, they played the Broncos without a quarterback, but they haven't really missed a beat with Flacco. With Breeze out and with Taysom Hill starting. But I do understand they've played the Falcons twice. That's what the words I was trying to find, Falcons, and I said Flacco. They played the Falcons twice and the Broncos without a quarterback once, but they haven't missed a beat without Breeze, and I think he should be back in the next couple of weeks. So I think that the Saints, their defense has been, I think, number 1 statistically in the NFL right now. So, and Michael Thomas is finally playing. Kamara scored on Sunday. You know, the Saints are a new look franchise right now.
DJ, don't talk to me about wide receivers anymore because Michael Thomas ruined my fantasy season. And he also, you're talking to me about Devontae Adams too, which is just bringing up bad memories right now. When you tried to make that trade with me, he had one good game, and it was a playoff game. It was an overreaction during that off season to people that I believe were going to try and sell high on him. And I didn't think he was much more than just a guy. And he wasn't really until maybe last year.
You win some, you lose some, Christopher.
I didn't lose anything because I didn't trade with you. Not trading with you, victory in my book.
Yeah, I feel bad buying into the Saints again because I've been buying them into for the last 2 years. I mean, this defense is a lot better than it has been, but I've called the Saints to be a Super Bowl team for the last 2 years, and maybe they would have been in that Rams debacle, but I don't think they could win with Taysom. I want to say they could win with Breeze, but he's kind of plummeted in the playoffs in recent years. So they should be the NFC representatives. They really should be.
I don't know. I think they could win, maybe not go to the Super Bowl. I don't know if they're Super Bowl caliber with Taysom Hill back there. But I think it would be an interesting concept, and it would be interesting to see them try.
You'll find out next week.
Yeah. I mean, Taysom Hill just threw his first touchdown pass this past Sunday. So he's already evolving as a quarterback.
For God's sake.
Well, and Breeze hasn't even been Breeze this year. To be honest, the last 2 years, you had every reason to think that, Michael, because he looked like he was still a peak of his powers. This year is severely diminished from what I've seen.
So, I mean, the defense gets an upgrade. You get a downgrade under center. I don't know what makes up the gap for a team that has continually kind of choked. It's also a mental thing. The team hasn't gotten over that hump for 2-3 years now.
Yeah, they can't. The hump that they call the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah. The NFC Championship, the divisional round. You could call it any round in the playoffs. They can't get over it.
But for one referee, then the fate of that team has changed dramatically, though.
How do you think the Saints feel that their 2 playoff runs were ruined by Case Keenum and Jared Goff? They're beaten by Case Keenum and Jared Goff.
Don't forget last year when they were beaten by Kirk Cousins.
Oh,
Yes, I kind of
that's the
forgot.
Motley Crew.
I don't like to look at Kirk Cousins' accomplishments because they're overrated, just like him.
Oof.
I can't make up my mind about Kirk Cousins.
What a great segue to the number 2 team in my power rankings.
What is the segue? What? Mentioning Kirk Cousins?
No, he said overrated.
Oh, overrated.
Wow.
Oh, stop it. Stop it.
Wow, you alley-ooped it to him.
That's fine. That's fine. This is the mentality that the Steelers should be embracing. I think the Chiefs were somewhat under the radar for maybe not in this circle because of how much Deej probably talks about it. But, like, I don't think the Chiefs were super talked about last year. It was all the Ravens.
I talk about the Chiefs so much it makes all my friends nauseous.
Yeah. So maybe, and I'll tell you from my sector, we all kind of a little bit took it for granted what the Chiefs were doing. And then we'll focus on the Ravens and like, oh, and if you want to sleep on the Steelers, that's fine. But there's more than enough reasons to believe that this team is going to go all the way.
I think they could go all the way if the Chiefs didn't exist.
Yeah, that's the issue. I'm not gonna lie. That's I don't know how they get over that hurdle, but
It will be nice for the Steelers to automatically get in the second round. Based on beating nobody for the first 11 weeks. But
they might not, honestly. There's only one bye.
Yeah, no, but I assume the Steelers are going to get that because the Chiefs still have the Saints left.
The Steelers have to beat the Bills, man. They really just have to beat the Bills.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if you beat the Bills, I'd assume that you guys get the bye because you win the tiebreaker based on the Chiefs lost to an AFC team and the Steelers lost to a football team. I'm funny. No, I do think the Steelers are very good. Their defense is imposing. Big Ben's firing on all cylinders too, but they've got to figure out a run game. And I'm thinking maybe with Connor back this week that's something, he'll be a catalyst for them there. But I just don't see in January Big Ben throwing the ball 50 times week after week after week.
See, people keep saying they need the run game, and they do. They need something more consistent with what they've had in the last 3 weeks without Connor. And more important, those short yard situations where Benny Snell cannot find a hole in like a quarter of a yard. I don't know how, but or punch through, do one or the other, but that's besides the point. They got to figure out the drops because this offense revolves. You could throw 40, 45 times a game. That's this offense, but they're short 5-yard slants, and it's getting the ball out quick. And it's not doing too much to Big Ben's arm where he's chucking it 70 yards down the field. He does it like once a game. So if Deontay Johnson stops dropping passes, then they can move the chains. That they just shoot themselves in the foot with the drops.
Well, my fantasy
fantasy
team still wants him to get 17 targets with the drops. So
I charted 7 drops in their loss to Washington this week. On 4th and 1, we're chucking a fade to Anthony McFarland, and I'm glad I'm seeing him on the field, but not there.
We need to see lots more Anthony McFarland.
Sure, but not there. Like, I want to see him over Benny Snell, and I want to see him with James Conner, but I don't want to see him there on 4th and 1 on a deep shot ish.
Right.
It's infuriating. But they needed this loss. They really need. They've been playing down for 3 weeks now. It's been a while since they ran over the Browns, and they've been playing down ever since.
You two have any thoughts on the Steelers?
Personally, not really. I think the Chiefs. The problem I have with it is that I think that Big Ben's doing well, but and Michael, you're the Steelers expert here, so correct me if I'm wrong, but Big Ben goes down. Mason Rudolph comes in.
Oh, game's over. Season's over.
Season's over. You don't think that Mason Rudolph can throw a 5-yard pass?
No, I do not. No.
I didn't think he did too bad. I didn't think he did too bad last year.
I think he has gotten more slack than he deserved from last year. It's a hard spot that he got put in. But Big Ben also hasn't been sacked in like 4 weeks. Because of how quick he's getting that ball out. It's crazy on his sack rate right now, which is why he's not dead.
I also don't think the Steelers defense is playing up to where they are now. So I think that being said, I think that Mason Rudolph could game manage his way to a win. Pat Mahomes goes down for the Chiefs. They don't have a backup that can manage what Mahomes does.
The throwing Samoan though, Jordan Ta'amu, man.
I like Jordan. I like him, but that's a tall task.
The throwing Samoan.
Yeah, he's got a nickname, so he's obviously good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
From
a
the
given.
Battlehawks, R.I.P.
The thing, like you were saying, Michael, is that you can use this loss as something that does propel you even further, because you look at something that Brian Billick used to say is that when he started to see the team sliding a little bit, he would just get on guys for just random occurrences. Like if there was trash on the floor, like in meeting rooms or stuff like that, just trying to make sure that people were at their sharpest, because to a certain degree, they had gone through the season and they hadn't really faced any headwinds. Now the Steelers have faced that headwind, and they need to see how they react to it when they do get a gut punch against a team that they should have handled. So now we're looking at a team that needs to really take that momentum going the wrong direction and redistribute it. And I think that's something that we will see the Steelers do, and they will come back stronger for it. When you're talking about overlooking the Chiefs last year, I think it was an easy thing to do, because when they lost Patrick Mahomes, that seemed like that was it. And a Chiefs friend on Facebook put out, take my knee instead. And you saw the memes of Kermit the Frog laying on the ground holding his knee. And they were all great, but you thought that was season over at that point. And to have them come back and do it, especially the way that they did it, where like during the first half of that Texans game, when people are sending out memes of your opponent has left the game because Tennessee is just rocking them, and to have them come back, there is no deficit that Kansas City could be down by that I wouldn't believe they had a chance to win the game now.
With you saying the gut punch, I do believe that Mahomes' injury was the gut punch that the Chiefs needed, because if you look at what their defense was the first half of that season to what they were in the second half of the season, and even in the playoffs, I know the Texans put up 31, but if you look at that game was kind of a bunch of goofy nonsense.
Goofy nonsense gets you back in that game, DJ.
No, I know. No, but if you look at how they scored 31 in that game, there's blown coverage, which happens, but then there's a blocked punt that goes in the end zone. Then Tyreek muffs a punt, and all of a sudden it's 24-0. And you got to think after that, the Chiefs outscored them 51-7. And then
the special teams won them that game.
Who, the Chiefs? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Bill O'Brien won the Chiefs that game for calling.
Well, he helped a lot because he's great at coaching.
But then if you look in the AFC Championship, they handled Derrick Henry in the second half, and then Jimmy Garoppolo won them the Super Bowl. But that was their gut punch, and I thought their defense stepped up, and that's something that they haven't done this year either. So I wouldn't mind seeing maybe the Dolphins put up a good first half this week and kind of wake up the Chiefs defense.
Yeah, the Steelers need to respond to that gut punch this week. It's the type of thing where if you drop this game, maybe they start even believing about themselves, where you see all those memes like, you beat Daniel Jones barely. You barely beat the Broncos without Drew Lock. There's going to be out in that locker room if they can't beat the game. Win this, they go on a 2-game slide. They fall behind the Chiefs. They lose their bye. That's catastrophic, honestly. So this is a must-win game, and I do think they respond. I think T.J. Watt, I was having a conversation today. He is the defensive player of the year for me. I don't know if there's competition in that, but it's you step up when you need them most, and that's what you got to see for this week from everyone involved, honestly. I also want to see Chase Claypool on the field. I don't know why he wasn't on the field in Washington, but can't even get me started on that.
Because we need more of Alex Smith stealing the football.
Don't even. I can't even. Whatever. I felt annoyed at that, but then also the refs randomly screwed Logan Thomas out of that first down, like the drive before. But I mean, the Steelers gave them that 3 points by Juju going out of bounds and then allowing a 60-yard drive in like 10 seconds. So I can't argue with Alex Smith doing something that I would applaud if I was a Washington fan.
Chris, I'd love to be able to, complain, when my team has a winning record, but I'm a Bears fan, and I sit here and I watch my team every Sunday, and because they don't show up during primetime games, so I watch them Sundays. And
hey, we got to watch our team win 5 straight to start the year and just be like, this team is garbage the whole time. So we got to complain about that the entire time.
Michael and I are sitting here complaining about one loss this season. You guys are like, we just call that Sunday.
If you guys were in my college suite this season, I have been complaining about the Steelers each and every week until I came home. It was unbearable for my roommates because when the Steelers play down and when I'm watching a game with people around me, I start to lose it because they look so bad and they're capable because then they show me the Browns, they show me what they did to the Bengals, and I want 70% of what they can be and then they give me like 20% until the last like 2 seconds. Like it's my heart can't take it. It really can't.
I mean, watching a Chiefs game with me, I'm sitting here all frustrated because they're playing the Broncos and they're playing like shit. And my wife's like, do you think they're going to lose? I'm like, no, I think they're going to win by a lot, which makes me mad that they're not. But you know what? Glory to whoever sets the lines at DraftKings, because after the Broncos scored their touchdown to go up 10-3 or whatever, they gave the odds of Chiefs -3, and I hammered that home because I'm like, there's no way they don't win this game by at least 5 points.
Are you surprised at all that I'm going to go back another week? Are you surprised at all that the Saints did not win by more than they did against the Broncos?
The Broncos defense isn't bad, and that's the thing is I think that the Broncos actually compete in that game if Drew Lock or any competent quarterback is healthy, because their defense played really well considering the fact that they couldn't get a first down. They couldn't, their quarterback was 1 for
9.
Yeah, with 13 yards and 2 interceptions. He completed more passes to the Saints than he did to the Broncos. And the one completion was just a dump off to Noah Fant.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy. Like, I honestly, I think the Chiefs division's really bad right now. I think it's probably the 3rd worst division in football behind the NFC East and the NFC North. And like you can see, I don't know, maybe getting the division win out of those teams, but you could see the Chargers, the Raiders, and the Broncos all being legitimate playoff teams over the next 4 to 5 years. Like, I think that division can be really good, and I think part of the thing that weighs them down is they're going to lose twice to Patrick Mahomes most seasons.
Well, the AFC West is the new AFC East when the AFC East had Tom Brady and the Patriots.
Yeah, you're going to have the Bills be good every once in a while and the Jets be good every once in a while and the Dolphins, but it's always going to be the same team. But, I mean, even at the same time, I don't mind having these other good teams. It makes the games more fun to watch. It was fun going to overtime against the Chargers. Sunday's game was fun. I would just prefer it to be earlier in the day. I don't really much. My old man ass doesn't care for stressing out over a Chiefs game at night and then trying to go to bed to work at 7 a.m. the next morning, and it's 11 o'clock and the game's just getting over, and my adrenaline is 100.
I was posing this question to someone the other day. What if the Broncos go out and sign Dak Prescott? Because I think that's a great fit for him. I think if he wants out of Dallas, which Jerry Jones came out today and said that Dak needs to protect himself more, despite only missing games this season on a fluke injury and has played every single game of his career prior. There's a real world to me that Dak's fed up, and he's not going to lower his price. I don't think Jerry rises his price. If Dak goes to Denver, they still don't compete with KC. But
I mean, they might.
They need linemen, offensive linemen for sure.
So I want you to know this. The Broncos haven't beaten the Chiefs in 1,100 or 1,911 days. And I think that why are we laughing? Because I know this, or
Chiefs.
And I think getting a quarterback like Dak Prescott puts him in that conversation to win games against Kansas City.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, because I think the offensive line is good enough. The Cowboys line wasn't stellar this year, and Dak was still great. You get Cortland Sutton back, you get Noah Fant, you get Jerry Jeudy, who I still believe I'm still fully in on Jerry Jeudy. Whatever KJ Hamler could supply.
Can we rewind on what fully in on Jerry Jeudy means?
That he will still be a top 5 receiver, top 3 receiver in this class.
Okay. I just don't want you to besmirch the name of Justin Jefferson.
Oh no! I don't know if you saw the other day. I was putting out tweets about Justin Jefferson being offensive rookie of the year. All right, I'm a huge Jefferson guy as well. Okay. But Jeudy, we have not seen a player like Jeudy come out of college in forever.
Right.
He's not gonna bust. It's just that subpar QB play. I think.
He's Amari Cooper 2.0.
Yeah, except I hope Mark Cooper now maybe.
Amari Cooper 2.0 is Calvin Ridley, so he can be Calvin Ridley 2.0.
I would love that, and it's another Bama product. It's another Bama product who came out as a stellar route runner, and Jerry Jeudy came out as a better route runner than Calvin Ridley did.
Just
with worse hands.
Next class of Alabama wide receivers, because
the Waddle, Devonta Smith is unreal. He really is, but. I don't know. I've been floating Dak to Denver, maybe just because it's a catchy little hashtag as well.
We need to send this to the chat and ask Linda about her feelings about this.
Well, I think it would work because if you just have somebody get in there and you tell like an offensive coordinator who's on the rise, we're going to give you an offense with Dak. Vic Fangio is going to take care of his defense. That's all that Vic really wants. If you want to bring in some like up and coming like offensive mind that you think may be out there, it would be the perfect opportunity to install new offense, new quarterback, new philosophy on that side of the ball. Everything else Vic's going to take care of.
I'm texting Linda right now. I mean, like you just said, the defense being good this year. I mean, they have pieces. Bradley Chubb's a really good receiver, defender. AJ Boy's played well before he just got suspended for 6 years, for 6 games. But that's Vic. 6 years. But that's Vic Fangio right there, and you Bears guy know what Vic Fangio does to a defense. He's got them. He's got the respect that he has for a reason.
Mm-hmm. All right. So 2 questions before we sign off for the night. We'll go from Chris to Andrew to Michael. Who plays quarterback for the Chicago Bears next year?
What's a terrible idea? There's got to be at least one terrible idea.
Jameis Winston.
Carson Wentz.
Jameis Winston and Carson Wentz are the 2 best bad ideas.
I had a really good name the other night, and I was thinking that seems like the kind of Bearsy choice that they would come up with, but I can't think of it now.
It seems like the Bearsy choice.
If they went all out to move up and try and get the kid from North Dakota State, I'd be okay with that. Trey Lance, yeah.
Fair enough. Andrew?
I've been saying it since last year. I've been saying it all this year. And if it's not Trevor Lawrence, it's Justin Fields. I'm standing by it, and I'm sticking to my guns on it because that's all I have.
If you have to know who the coaching staff is going to be or what the front office is going to look like before you can actually truly answer that question.
Because otherwise, we're throwing darts. Nagy is not going to be there.
I don't think he can after that Lions thing that happened. Again,
I will trade you right now, Eric Bieniemy for Matt Nagy in a 1st-round pick.
Yeah, you can have him back.
I like that Trey Lance pick, but I feel like they're the type of team that could ruin Mac Jones. Like, I feel like Mac Jones is going to be a big riser in draft boards based on this year. And I feel like the Bears where Bears are gonna pick like probably third,
Probably
well,
10-ish. That's
Right.
where they usually end up.
it feels like they're gonna reach for Mac Jones there. If Mac Jones even, I think he will be a reach there. But
From what college football I've watched this year, they're going to get Bo Nix because he is awful at everything, and I don't understand how he keeps starting over and over again and is a draft prospect somehow.
What about the kid out of Florida?
What is it?
Kyle Trask.
Kyle Trask, yeah.
He seems like a very good Bears quarterback. He's only been a starter for a year and a half, and
Big arm, good scrambler.
The other name you have to look at is Zach Wilson from BYU.
Yeah, I saw the last mock that I was looking at, saw him going in the top 10 and basically saying if the Bears can't get in the top 10, they might as well wait. And
I think Zach Wilson, his stock dropped after that game against Coastal Carolina because they showed that, and that game wasn't even his fault either. His receivers just couldn't catch anything.
I think what's going to happen is there's going to be 3 great quarterbacks. They're going to have a chance at one of them. They're going to trade up and take the worst one.
Wow. You're really funny, DJ.
I know. I tried.
I hope Kermit the Frog doesn't have his legs break.
Don't say that.
It's about Kermit the Frog.
Okay.
I didn't actually say it, DJ, just like you didn't actually say it a moment ago.
I think the Bears' next quarterback is Jameis Winston.
trade for Carson Wentz, please.
How did they not draft Jake Fromm last year?
God.
Jake from State Farm?
He was begging to be drafted, and it's just look at Pace and the fact that he says he wants to draft a quarterback every year, and the only quarterback he's ever drafted is Mitchell Trubisky. That's a problem.
Well,
I never understood the Jake Fromm love. Sorry, Andrew. Sorry.
No, you're good. What I was saying is, why go out and spend all that money on Robert Quinn and only play him a third of the season?
Because I don't think he's very good.
We're talking about offense here, not defense.
I'm questioning Ryan Pace.
No, that was a big paycheck. I get it.
We're talking about practice.
Playoff.
Offense.
Playoff.
Dropping $16 million on Jimmy Graham. Dropping $72 million on Robert Quinn.
Jimmy Graham was almost worth it just because of the early production and getting touchdowns, which is ridiculous because there's no reason that he should have done as well as he did.
No, it was a nice first 3 weeks, and then you start working in Cole Kmet, as you should, and then you still got 2 more years of Jimmy Graham getting paid like $6 million.
Yeah. They still don't throw it to Cole Kmet enough or let him on the field.
The Bears are going to have a tight end that has more than 100 yards this season. So,
in 2022, the Bears will be paying Jimmy Graham more money than the Chiefs will Travis Kelce.
They'll cut.
You don't think he's actually going to see the end of that deal, do you, DJ?
No.
Oh, okay. So that's an important thing to note there. Yeah, I see you.
All right. Before we log off, rapid fire this one. Final score tomorrow night between the Rams and the Patriots in LA. Chris?
I'll take the Rams. There's too much firepower, and they have a really good coach.
What's score?
What's a score? I don't like that. 28-23.
Okay. Andrew?
24-16, New England.
Michael?
Nice.
I was going to say 24-17, Rams.
And I'm going to say 13-3 Patriots.
Oh, for God's sake. It's not going to happen again.
I was glad that Andrew said Patriots because I didn't want to do the lone wolf bark.
Well, you already had a dog in your basement, DJ.
Yeah, it's my dog. He's cute.
Yeah, I know. He wandered through.
All right, boys. It's been fun. Michael, Chris, I'll see you on Sunday. Andrew, probably next week. So for Mr. Steele.
I'm directly below you. This isn't hard.
I can't find Michael. Mr. Sticoli and Mr. McKay. I'm Mr. Jarvis. We'll see you on Sunday morning for Fantasy's Sake.